I'm a social anxiety coach. I'm going to teach you what I do when someone makes me angry and what I teach to my clients as well. I'll give you an example from yesterday. So I've been going to this local gym 5 times a week for the last 3 years. And the first thing I do is I swipe through these barriers at reception with an ID card. Then I just go and train in the upstairs room. So yesterday I was there for about 5 or 6 minutes at these barriers, swiping, trying other barriers along this line of barriers, and they weren't opening. And obviously I've paid for my membership. And the guy at reception, this new member of staff, was being a job's worth, telling me that I mustn't be swiping properly, otherwise the barriers would be opening. And I asked him if he could buzz me through, and he was a bit attitudey about it, like, oh, if I have to, I'll do it. And then he started saying that you mustn't have been swiping properly again after I already had got through. At this point, I was really angry with that person, and I just needed space. He wasn't listening to me, and I told him to F off. That's what I did. I told him F off. The reason that this expression exists is basically because there's times where someone's making you angry and you need space. You know that you need space, and that's why you say F off as a last resort. Because the communication is, you're making me angry and I need space to cool down. So then I went upstairs, did my usual workout, sauna afterwards. I'd cooled down. I was less angry at this point. So I wanted to resolve the conflict. So I went back to reception for a one-on-one chat with this guy. And I came from the perspective, the frame of wanting to release any anger or resentment towards that person, not to hold any tension. And I explained how his behavior was really rubbing me up the wrong way. I explained how he made me angry, explained why I told him to F off. I just got it all out there, got it off my chest. And then at the end, I said, are we cool to just shake hands and move on? And he agreed to do this, so we shook hands, and I said, have a good rest of your day, and carried on as normal. And I felt a big sense of relief, felt really good afterwards. So the steps to implement when someone's behavior is making you angry is firstly to isolate yourself from that person and situation. Ideally, you don't want it to get to this stage where you're telling somebody to F off. It's rare that I do this, so rare. It's a last resort. But give yourself space. Something which my mentor said to me, which really stuck in my head, was that decisions made when you're angry are almost always the wrong decisions. When has anybody ever been so mad and so angry in life, um, absolutely enraged, and made this amazing decision that's benefited their future selves? Almost never does this happen. So decisions made from a place of anger are almost always regrettable decisions. So when you feel angry, the first thing to do is give yourself that space to cool down. And then when you've cooled down, it's important to have a one-to-one chat with that person so you can release your anger, give them a chance to release theirs, and you can resolve that conflict. And I've realized that when you come from that frame of I don't want to hold any tension, hostility, and resentment towards you, so I wanted to come over and talk about the miscommunication earlier and explain why I behave the way that I behave. When you come from that frame, people almost always listen, especially because by this point you've given yourself space. You're going to be a lot calmer because often um, it's the anger in one person that triggers the anger in another person. So when you're calm, you encourage the other person to be calm and level-headed as well. So when you've come over for that one-to-one chat, then it's time to explain your behavior. I always do that first. Then I explain why the other person's behavior made me angry. Get the emotions out there, get it off my chest. And a point that several people have made that come to my events, something which they've realized and learned from attending, is that when you let your guard down, you're vulnerable, you just speak genuinely and honestly, people listen. People's instincts kick in, they just sit back and genuinely listen. It cuts past the ego, it cuts past a situation where you're trying to one up the other person or they're trying to one up you. And it's because we have this split in our psychology. All of us, we have an inner parent and an inner child as well. And when you let that inner child out, talking with your emotions, that more vulnerable part of you, people they can just tell there's a vulnerability there and they genuinely listen. And when you resolve a conflict in this way, you're truly getting those emotions out that are bothering you. You're giving them space to do the same, and you come away feeling great afterwards. Something which is really common for people who come from a background of social anxiety is for these people to be really good people. Very rarely is there someone out there with a lot of social anxiety, um, shyness, social anxiety, that is actually not a good person at all. The typical temperament of someone who has social anxiety or has had it is someone who has higher levels of empathy than the average person, someone who's thoughtful, someone who is more sensitive as well, and someone who is naturally kind towards other people. And these are great traits. These are great traits for bonding with people, great traits in life. But it's really important to pair that kindness towards other people with strong boundaries. Strong boundaries are kindness to yourself as well. If you're not being kind to yourself, it's so much harder to be kind to other people. You could call this the good selfish when you're being kind to yourself. It's a behavior that is self-centered, but it's actually good for you and it's good for other people as well. So what you're doing is, when you're developing boundaries, as my mentor used to say, you're learning the social martial arts, social self-defense, how to block attacks from other people and defend yourself and protect your energy, keep yourself in a good place. And you deserve to be treated fairly by every person in your life. It doesn't matter if it's a parent, another family member, a friend, a teacher, a boss, a police officer, staff member at the gym. It doesn't matter who it is. As long as you're being kind and respectful towards other people, you deserve to be treated nicely. And if you're not, in my opinion, you have every right to stand up for yourself, to vocalize it and call it out and address that situation. And usually, when you stand up for yourself in the right way, people listen. You don't need to feel so afraid of people, and you're never under any danger. If someone was to threaten you with physical violence or something like this, you can always call the police. You can always tell them that if you threaten me, I will call the police without hesitation. You have a right to protection from intimidation. And also, as well, you don't need to tolerate any antisocial behavior from other people. If someone is behaving in a bullying way towards you, you can threaten to report them at their place of work or something like this. If it's not, I'm not talking about petty reporting and nitpicking, but if someone's genuinely being an a-hole and they're not listening and they keep on behaving in an inappropriate way, there is actions that you can take to protect yourself. And I say these different points because sometimes people are afraid of learning to have good boundaries with people because they're afraid of situations that might happen in the future. Subconsciously or consciously, there's going to be a level of awareness of how boundaries could play out with different people. And that's why I say these things, because sometimes future fears can stop people making progress in current time. The same fears that stop people pursuing their dream life and building a business, for example. Because on some level, you're aware of the different challenges that you might have to face. So even though you might not be able to pinpoint why it's so scary to do a certain thing, you have some awareness of the kind of things that you might have to go through to get to where you want to get to. So sometimes I like to talk about future fears and deal with them now, neutralize them now. Because I know that in the long run, these points can stick in the mind and really help people out. So I hope that this is helpful to you, whether it's now or in the future. When someone's making you angry, give yourself space from that person until you cool down. Have a one-on-one chat with them later with that frame of, I want to release any anger or resentment towards you, and just get it out there. You'll feel a lot better. If you're interested in either private one-to-one coaching sessions, for example, pay-as-you-go coaching, or you want to come and check out one of my meetup events in Birmingham, just drop me an email and I'll be in touch. You can find my email on my homepage on YouTube. If you like this video, feel free to hit like. If you want to get notified when I do more live streams and release more stuff, feel free to subscribe to my channel. Until next time, have a great rest of your day.